One of the things that COVID-19 has indicated was the weaknesses in policy from government in addressing issues of food security at a local level. And one of those issues talks to what I would call our policy approaches on family farms, our policy on urban agriculture. What should we do as a state in order to address these challenges, particularly from a policy as well as regulatory framework?
COVID-19 and the necessity for lockdown has exposed long-standing inequalities across South Africa. We know that millions of people have found their access to food, healthcare, education, transport, and communication cut off. And the result has been a rapid rise in hunger across the country, another generation facing poor education and health, widespread threats of eviction, including by local municipalities, despite national instructions to suspend evictions. But also, we've seen a renewed urgency and an increased solidarity to respond to these immediate crises, even as we see massive budget cuts and less money for government to spend.
The COVID-19 period has certainly demonstrated the value of civil society in the advocacy for progressive policy reforms aimed at securing the material interests of those we consider as the most marginalized in a society.
This crisis, every crisis contains an opportunity, is a call for all of us for stopping some thinking by default. What I like to call the let's do more of the same. The more of the same approach need to be set aside. Instead, we have to think together a new developmental model and a new conducive policy environment.
We must act now, and we must act together. That's the message and the warning of COVID-19.
So we are coming together today for the first convening of the multi-stakeholder platform.
This represents an important step in which, as government, we want to work together with various stakeholders to resolve the vexing question of land reform and agrarian transformation in our country.
The South African government has consistently prioritized agriculture sector as one of the sectors that could form the foundations of a reimagined, inclusive economy.
We need to relook at the definition of farmer. We need to build in those who are subsistence and urban producers, but also non-food farmers.
We're mindful coming into the room of our history. We're mindful of our different ideology, our different positionalities or positions. We're mindful of a whole lot of things that divide us. But I think the key thing is that we're coming together to engage in conversation, to reflect collectively, to learn collectively, and to emerge at a place where we will have found each other around policy, around process, and around the context and the framing of that context.
The reappointment of the Honourable Minister Didiza as political head of a newly amalgamated Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development has opened the way for the implementation of a new, inclusive, multi-stakeholder approach and a fresh look at what a multi-stakeholder platform might look like in this new era.
We wanted not to only look in the past and dwell on it and examine it, though important. We've decided to look forward, because seated here in this platform, it is my view that we have done the diagnosis for many years. And I'm sure we also seated here in this platform fully know what is the problem that needs to be addressed. Issues of land equity, issues of transformation of our rural spaces, issues of food systems that has actually been laid bare by COVID-19.
Importantly, we need to come to the realization that land reform is not only a way to redress injustice, the injustices of the past, and to achieve equality, but also presents itself as a fundamental leverage for agrarian transformation, creation of new jobs, a means of prosperity in rural and peri-urban areas, thereby curbing migration from rural to congested urban areas with no jobs, infrastructure, and services.
Multi-stakeholder governance and the social compacts associated with it are a new and evolving idea that South Africa is using in many policy arenas to address multi-layered problems. Policy roundtables are also an accepted international mechanism to include all stakeholders in solving problems related to policymaking and implementation and monitoring. They're also based on a social compact, as I mentioned, that can bring together these stakeholders from many different sectors of society and allow us to work together to identify our respective interests, to share our risks, and to combine our unique resources and competencies. With constructive and creative input from all stakeholders, policy decisions can gain legitimacy and can be more effectively implemented than a traditional top-down state-based response.
My message is that for FAO, this multi-stakeholder platform we have convocated today is the privileged platform for building up the new CBF.
I also think this will enable us to draw young land and agricultural activists and students into the debate of land and agrarian transformation in our country with an aim of also developing new knowledge. I'm sure those who are young researchers will also, through these policy dialogues, enable us to gain better insights on some of the challenges that our communities face.
The launch of these multi-stakeholder platforms will go a long way in responding to the first three requirements outlined above, and we commend the Minister and her department for the vision in deepening their engagement with sectors that would ordinarily fall outside of the policy-making process, specifically grassroots civil society organizations.
Land governance anchors constitutional rights and their administration. And as alluded to already by the Minister, together with an integrated spatial data system, it is the foundation for democracy and for inclusion. Without a coherent, integrated, inclusive, democratic and overarching land governance system, some South Africans will be, in the words of a farm dweller from KwaZulu-Natal, more equal than others.